The actual cause of the reported deaths of 70 children in the Gambia is yet to be known, according to an official from the Medicines Control Agency. DR Congo's refugees are returning home from Uganda as tensions ease in their area of settlement. And a recent fuel scarcity that hit Nigeria triggered concern among motorists. Stay tuned for the details as these and more coming your way on The World Today. This is Eyeafrica TV, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin, coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in detail. Now, in a recent press conference called by health officials to shed more light on the Aki deaths, and officials at the Medicines Control Agency, Tijan Jallo, who serves as its regulatory officer, insists that findings are yet to be revealed the true cause of deaths of the over 70 Gambian children earlier attributed to Aki. Mafuji Sise was at the press conference on Monday, and he now reports.
The press conference was a joint effort by the Ministry of Health, the WHO, and the Medicines Control Agency. The Medicines Control Agency is tasked with ensuring quality, safety, efficacy, and proper use of medicines in the Gambia. The MCA was represented at the press conference by its regulatory officer, Tijan Jallo, who surprisingly told the press that in fact not all these over 70 reported child deaths were as a result of consuming contaminated medicines. Tijan Jallo revealed that samples of all syrups in the country manufactured by Medin Pharmaceutical Company of India have been taken for analysis. In the meantime, he says there is a countrywide suspension on the sales of all paracetamol syrups products.
MCA sent some of their inspectors to the importer, and we sampled all the syrups that were manufactured by Median, and we subjected them to analysis. But while we were waiting for the results, we suspend the sales of all those medications from Median and other companies. And as we speak, I told you we have tested 39 products. So out of that 39, it's only these 4 products that are contaminated.
Since the tiny West African country gained its independence in 1965, it has never had a national quality control laboratory, but that is likely to change soon as the World Bank has just pledged to establish a food and national medicine quality control laboratory. The preliminary work on that laboratory has since started. This Aki fiasco will rank among the worst medical emergencies the Gambia has had to face in its recent history. The first figure released by the WHO was that 66 children had died as a result of Aki. The Gambia government soon made a statement with President Barrow addressing the nation and promising to probe into the matter. Soon, though, reports had it that in fact the contaminated syrups were manufactured by an Indian company called Medin Pharmaceutical Company, and that the toxic medicine were specifically made for the Gambia. So it was rather shocking to hear from the man responsible for the safety of medicines in the country to claim otherwise in this press conference. Tijan Jallo again.
And what happened to this family? We are all potential victims. We could have been all potential victims, including our kids, our relatives, our families. Because a medicine that comes in, that we are not concluding it is the cost, because we are all exposed to the same medicines.
Whether the Gambia government holds the Indian Medin company for deaths of the 70 children or not, Mr. Jallo had this to say.
The moment that product is having this residual solvent that fall above the acceptable criteria limit, even if one patient take it and die, the company is liable to it.
A third world country like the Gambia cannot establish the efficacy and effectiveness or analyze the content of medicinal products without the laboratory to do it. Mr. Tijan Jallo from the Medical Control Agency is an expert in the quality analysis of products. How will he analyze the products without the equipment as the country imports medication from all parts of the world? The health expert insisted that Aki products came through the right channel.
The country imports products from all over the world. There are products that are coming from the developed world, in the United States, in Europe, Asia, and within the sub-region. So right now, I cannot just fish out a single company and mention it. But what matters, the product have been tested and they are good.
Given the unfolding Aki saga in the Gambia and its adherent ramifications, it would be hard to make anyone believe that those responsible for the safety and efficacy of medicines are really fulfilling their responsibilities to the best of their ability. What Gambians need at the moment is a solution to the Aki problem and a total restoration of confidence in the health delivery service across the country. Attempts at self-explanation may only likely attract negative reactions at a time when positive energy is highly needed. Mafoji Sise, Eyeafrica News.
Moving on, residents in a local community in South Sudan are left in a state of dilemma as the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, plan to cut its support to a community health facility where more than 200,000 people receive medical attention. Now, the UN Population Agency says the move is necessitated due to the lack of adequate funding to continue operations of the health facility. However, authorities of this African country are urging the UN agency not to close the health center due to the growing demand of its services in the area. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Mary Alfred is a mother of two. Both of her children were born at this health facility, supported by the United Nations Population Funds, or UNFPA. But the funding is stopping, and the UNFPA says it has no money to keep the facility open.
I fear if this health centre is closed, then we will have to go up to Uganda to give birth, which is very expensive. Yet the health workers here can provide the same services if the clinic is maintained.
The residents are concerned about the planned closure of the health centre.
We are getting a lot of assistance from this health centre. If a mother is sick during pregnancy, she is treated for free. If it's closed, we will suffer a lot.
And the number of people visiting the health center keeps going up. Many people internally displaced by floods and conflicts have moved to this area. This is the only facility providing health services for more than 200,000 residents of this area. South Sudan's government is urging UNFPA not to close the health center. Many rural health centers in the country are facing similar challenges and threats of closure due to a lack of funds from donors. This is attributed to the conflict in Ukraine, which has taken away most of the funds.
And that report there is coming from a local community in South Sudan. Now, the United Nations Security Council Counterterrorism Committee recently held a two-day meeting in India where it adopted a document obligating member states to prevent and combat digital forms of terror, such as the abuse of drones, social media platforms, and online terrorism financing, and create guidelines to help tackle the growing issue. Yahya Jammeh has the details in this report.
The non-binding document known as the Delhi Declaration on Countering the Use of New and Emerging Technologies for Terroristic Purposes was adopted in the Indian capital on Saturday, following a series of panels that involve member states representatives, UN officials, civil society entities, the private sector, and the researchers. The event kicked off at the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel in Mumbai on Friday, where a series of coordinated terrorist attacks left 31 dead and many injured in November 2008. Visiting officials and delegates paid tribute to the victims at the hotel's memorial site and laid a wreath in memory of those who lost their lives in the attacks. Nidi Chapikar, a survivor of the 2016 Brussels terrorist attacks, appealed to state representatives to ensure there is no safe haven provided for any terrorists, adding that measures like this one spearheaded by the UN have given her the strength to come out in the open to share her ordeals.
I'm not an terrorist attack survivor from this very place or from my own country. I'm a terror attack survivor and a victim from the Brussels, Belgium. But I'm very honored that they've been invited me as a victim of terrorism, not that only the very attack of Mumbai city will be invited to hear me out. And when I see this change taking place, when I see this happening, when I see that it is collaboratively taken the stories of each person and they will see what next to be done. Not only that, hearing people's stories, hearing different, what they have gone through has given me total strength.
David Scaria from the Counterterrorism Executive Committee said the report talks about the importance of human rights and how the various stakeholders will work out the challenges collectively.
The Delhi Declarations lays out the foundation for the way ahead. It identifies the principles that we need to balance. We need to understand and appreciate the value that these technologies bring. We need to identify the risk, and we need to work better collectively to identify how terrorists may use it and what risks it brings to our society.
Despite the United Nations' successes in putting certain countries on notice, experts say the threat of terrorists is only growing and expanding, particularly in Asia and Africa. Acts of terrorism include threats of terrorism assassinations, kidnappings, hijackings, bomb scares and bombings, cyber attacks, computer-based attacks, and the use of chemical, biological, nuclear, and radiological weapons. The meeting sought to address the increased use of the internet and other information and communications technologies, including social media platforms, for terrorist purposes. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
Back to matters in the African continent, because DR Congo nationals who recently fled to Uganda due to the growing insecurity are now returning home after a relative camp is back in their area of settlement. Hundreds of people were forced to leave their homes when fresh clashes erupted between the government forces and the M23 rebels, leaving many in a state of fear. Now, despite their fancied move to return home, the DRC government said the situation is still unstable in the eastern part of the country. Here's more details of that in this report.
Budundwe Byamungu is a local gospel artist, but also a refugee. A few days back, he fled to Uganda because of a war back home.
The sound of bullets was too much. We escaped and crossed the border to Busanza. Then we came here at the custom.
Byamungu is among 20,000 refugees who fled to Uganda in the past week following fresh fighting between M23 rebels and the Congolese government forces in the eastern DRC region of Rushuru. The guns have gone silent, and he prefers to go back home instead of relocating to a refugee settlement in Uganda.
They have told us the place is peaceful and we are not hearing any gunshots across the border.
And he's not moving alone, but hundreds of other refugees are also crossing back. Many of these refugees are crossing the border here, going back home to the Democratic Republic of Congo, even though it's not yet totally peaceful in their country. But as the conflict dies down, they believe they can start a new life again in relative safety. However, the Uganda government warns the situation is still volatile in eastern Congo.
When the asylum seekers hear that in 4 days there is no gunfire, they go back. Surprisingly, after a week, you find them running back because fighting is between the government and the rebels. So that one now I cannot predict.
But for those who have decided to stay in Uganda, the government is relocating them to Nakivale settlement. At the settlement, they will be facilitated to put up temporary shelter, land for cultivation, and food, among others.
It's our appeal that the East African member states can sit on a round table and find a lasting solution through dialogue on this matter.
The DRC government blames Rwanda for the current conflict in the east of the country, where hundreds have died and thousands have been displaced from their homes. Rwanda has denied supporting the rebels. Most of those caught up in the fighting are hoping that peace will return soon.
You are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Eyeafrica TV, coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. And from that report there in DR Congo, we now take a break and come back shortly. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Eyeafrica TV, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin. And once again, many thanks for joining us. And let's now look at the rest of the stories. And let's return to matters related to the acute crisis here in the Gambia. Because in rural communities in the Gambia, accessing adequate healthcare delivery service still remains a challenge for the most part. For many countless years, it's been the rural women folk and children that usually bore the brunt of this inadequacy. But in fact, rural women also suffer from a lack of proper and timely information, which may be crucial in saving lives. In the course of a recent visit to Farafenni East in the North Bank region of the Gambia, our reporter Mariama Cham found out that the women folk there find it difficult to identify the suspended paracetamol and other cough syrups which have been attributed to the death of over 70 children in the country.
These women here in Farafenni East depend on their WhatsApp groups and local community radio stations to get information on the acute kidney injury or AKI. Since word got spread around that government had put a ban on both fever and cough syrups in the Gambia, some people have simply stopped using any medicine that is syrup-like, even if they don't know the types that have been suspended by the Gambia government. These syrups are not good. Just a day before yesterday, my daughter went to the hospital and they prescribed a syrup for her to buy, which was not good because when the team recalling the paracetamol syrup came to our house, they took those syrups away. They said that they were not meant for consumption. For us, we cannot identify the syrups because we are not educated. We just go to a pharmacy and buy them and give them to our children. We do not know whether they are harmful or not. Awareness is essential for prevention and early detection, and it is also key in ensuring effective treatment. Being aware of disease and its symptoms means people are more likely to take preventive action and go for screenings, tests, and checkups. Yahya Jammeh tells Eyeafrica TV that no one went to sensitize them about AKI. She therefore wants mothers, especially those in rural communities, to be careful with the type of syrups they give their children. This is tiring because when you go to the hospital, they will prescribe them and you just have to go to the pharmacy and get them. Just before the 70 figure was released, I heard in our Kumandar group chat that the syrup had killed 7 children already. So those of us going to the hospitals or pharmacies to buy, let us be aware of the kind of syrups we are buying because the discussion is on TV and listening to the radios that some syrups are not good for our children. Also, we did not see anyone or health workers sensitizing us that there are particular syrups that we shouldn't buy. We are just hearing the message on TVs and radios. These women are hoping that good medicines, including cough and fever syrups, will replace the bad ones and that things will return back to normal soon. The latest information from the Ministry of Health states that Aki has claimed the lives of 82 children in the country, with 12 others recovering in hospitals. The Health Ministry also advises people to stay away from any medicine produced by Maiden Pharmaceuticals Limited, the Indian company blamed for producing the toxic cough and fever syrups at the center of the current Aki saga. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh. $11 million is the budget set for the Youth Convergence, which will start from the 13th to the 15th of December 2022. The last edition was held in Basa in 2017. Banjul was to play host to the 2019 edition, but that did not materialize due to COVID-19. So with just over a month to the start of the conference and festivals, the National Youth Council updates the public on what's been planned as well as the theme for the event, which is centered on youth participation in peace and national security. Alaji Jaju, Executive Director of the National Youth Council, emphasized the importance of the theme for this year's activities.
This year's theme, that is NECON 2022, is the role of young people in the maintenance of peace and security for socio-economic development of this country. What are the opportunities and what are the challenges that we have as a country? And I think the theme is quite apt. What is our role as young people in the maintenance of peace and security for the socio-economic development of this country? Under this overarching theme, the conference is expected to be interactive and participatory so as to build consensus on quality actionable programs and projects across the 10 thematic areas that we will be discussing during the NECON.
The intention, as stated by the Executive Director, is to create opportunities for youths to showcase their talents in culture, innovation, and other youth interest matters.
Over the years, we have seen the amount of talent that young people, that NECON was able to showcase, either through the sporting activities, through the conference component, or through the cultural components, or even through the Miss and Masters that we continue to organize. We have seen the amount of talent that NECON continue to produce. So these basically are our two main objectives: creating a platform for young people to discuss on their issues that are affecting them and mapping a way forward, but secondly, to also showcase the talents of our young people.
The 2,000 young people expected to turn up for the conference and festivals will be accommodated at various schools in Banjul in the likes of St. Augustine Senior Secondary School and others. However, many raised concerns about the conduciveness and the comfort these participants will have during their stay for the event. But the National Youth Council is ensuring all participants have a comfortable and conducive stay for the event. The Youth and Sports Minister Bakari Baji stated that the convergence should not only be a gathering of youths, but resolutions should be put in place for changes and development of individuals and institutions.
I just want to say that beyond the NECON, there are a lot more that is expected. And of course, yes, we've done conferences, we've done sport festivals, we've done all the sporting and all those activities. And this time around, we're doing the pitching. But we want NECON not just to be an event, but to be an event that comes out with very good resolutions, to be an event whose outcome individuals and institutions can follow and be able to implement to change the status quo of young people of this country, to change the status quo of the sports of this country, and to change the status quo of those that have decided to be entrepreneurs in doing businesses in their own communities or in their regions.
The thematic areas to be discussed during the event include education, youth employment, youth migration management, peace and security, among other prominent topics on youth development. This year, there will also be story pitches on business ideas that can generate employment for others. The activities for NACOF 2022 will include a cultural display, different sporting activities, conferences on youth matters, and others. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
Gambia's capital, Banjul, is expected to host this year's NACOF edition, and we will bring you more details of that in our subsequent news edition. But finally, another unexpected fuel shortage recently hit Nigeria, leaving motorists struggling to access the fuel in different parts of the country. The situation also disrupted some business activities. Oil marketers attributed the scarcity to inadequate supply in some depots. As the prevailing situation continues, Nigeria's government vows to end fuel subsidy in 2023, which is expected to end the prevailing fuel shortage in the West African nation. Here's more details of that in this report.
Long queues suddenly surfaced at petrol stations in Lagos on Tuesday without any warning. By Wednesday, the situation had gotten worse, with some filling stations shutting down, having run out of supply.
Before you get fuel, we spend like 2 hours on the queue before getting fuel. Not only one filling station, not 2, not 3. It's up to 3 now, 4, 5. I've been in up to 5 stations now. I've not bought, so I had to come here.
We just wake up and see that there's a fuel scarcity. We don't know what's going on, you know. Now I'm in the queue now for 40 minutes now. I don't know. I'll never get fuel.
It's the same story in other parts of the country. Motorists face a struggle to fill their tanks. Authorities are yet to give any reason for the sudden scarcity, but petroleum marketers say there's just not enough supply at the depot where they lift the product from.
So the supply is not enough to the system, and my members don't have enough product to buy, and that is why there's queue, and this is nationwide. So the supply is not there. And an NPC, who is the monopoly of supply to the system, has to step up production. The supply.
As the scarcity persists, the situation is taking a toll on the businesses of ordinary folks.
I'm a medical sales rep, and we deliver medical consumables, supplies, drugs to hospitals and pharmacy. So it actually affects my deliverables daily, because I will have to imagine me queuing for like 1 hour while I have places that they needed these products, hospitals that they needed these drugs. So it actually affected my deliverable work-wise, and also health-wise, mentally. It's really stress, staying on the same queue for a long time.
The government imports all the refined petrol consumed in Nigeria and sells it at a subsidized price to the public. Data from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company put subsidy spending from January to August this year at about $5 billion. The government has budgeted around $8 billion for subsidy payments for the first 6 months of next year, and that figure could even go up if global oil prices go up further. The government has said it will end the petrol subsidy regime altogether from June next year, and when that happens, Nigerians will begin to pay the market price for petrol. And many experts have said that will permanently end the kind of petrol scarcity the country is currently dealing with.
Another fuel scarcity hit Nigeria. I only hope, of course, it will be the last one in 2022, as the government plans to suspend or end its fuel subsidy next year. And with that report here coming from Nigeria, we eventually now bring this news edition to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on Eyeafrica.tv. But for now, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and bye for now.